Hi guys, my name's Veronica. I am a certified life coach and we discuss lifestyle and mental health content here on this channel. And today we are talking about overcoming a lack of self-awareness. Why is it important to be self-aware? Why can't people just love you the way that you are and be happy with it? They say the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again and expecting a different result. Today, we are going to be talking about self-awareness, overcoming lack of self-awareness, to be specific. Do you ever feel like you're repeating certain patterns in your relationships? And it doesn't feel like insanity because you think, oh, well, I keep dating different people and we keep having the same issues come up. And you're thinking that it's the other person. But the common denominator in those relationships where the same issues keep popping up is you. Hear me out. I'm not saying that there is, that there's something wrong with you or that you're just never going to find the right person. But if you take the time to get to know yourself a little bit better, we can start to notice patterns that we have that are influencing our relationships, right? It's influencing the way that the other person interacts with us. So when you have a relationship with someone else, I like to say there are at least 4 people in that relationship. There's you and your perception of yourself. There's a perception that you have of yourself. There's a perception that you have of the other person. There's the perception that other person has of themselves and the perception that they have of you. So how do we break free of our misunderstandings and our miscommunications in relationships? How do you change someone else's perception of you? How do you make sure you're coming off in a way that's not offensive to other people? It's not an easy thing to navigate around because different people have different personalities. At the end of the day, if you think about how you want to be treated and your perception of other people, if you try to lead with understanding, the intent to understand, instead of leading with the assumption that you already know. Staying curious is a good way to find out what's really going on, right? Because one person might behave a certain way in a certain situation and another person behaves a certain way in a situation, but both of those behaviors mean different things. And in order to understand other people better, first you need to look inside yourself and get to know why certain behaviors in other people make you want to respond a certain way. The bottom line is not taking the time to get to know yourself can impact the relationships that you have with other people. It's just like going through life with mud on your glasses, right? So you can't see things clearly. Everything's being filtered through these assumptions that you have from things that happened to you in the past, right? Like you're walking down the street and a car passes by you and mud splashes up onto your glasses and you kind of wipe them off, but there's still these smudges and they influence the way that you see the rest of the world. So if you stop and you try to wipe those assumptions away, right? Try to clear the mud off of your glasses and take the time to re-examine that other person and try to look again at yourself with a different perspective, with a clearer perspective. So before we end this video, I want to give you guys 3 tools, 3 tips that you can take with you that can help overcome lack of self-awareness in relationships and hopefully communicate with other people better in the future as you get to know yourself better in return. So here we go, tip number 1, and I'm sure you guys are not surprised to hear me say this. We've been talking about this on and off for a couple of weeks. I talked about it in my video the other day, and it's around active listening. So it's not just listening to the other person. And I know what you're thinking. We just talked about how getting to know yourself can help you in getting to know other people in your relationships. So when it comes to active listening, how do you listen to yourself, right? Sometimes we can do that through journaling, or you can go for a walk and a talk with yourself. One thing that I like to do that helps me get to know myself better is doing a video log. I find that with most of the people that I work with, myself included, we spent so much of our lives trying to get to know other people and make sure that they like us, that we don't take the time to get to know ourselves. So if I'm focused on someone else's opinion, an impression of me, I'm not being authentic, right? Because my behavior is being influenced by someone else's acceptance of who I am. So if you take the time to spend time, quality time, alone with yourself, that's how you can start to figure out who you are. That can be very frightening for some people. You might have to start small and say, okay, well, I'm going to take 5 minutes and I'm going to do this activity of self-care, right? Alone, in some solitude. Maybe listen to some good worship music if you're a Christian, and enjoy the quiet. Enjoy time by yourself and listen to your own thoughts, maybe some positive affirmations, because I know some of you, if you're like me a few years ago, you might start to spend time with yourself and those thoughts. That self-talk is still a work in progress, so you want to make sure that when you're alone, the music that you're listening to in your alone time is building you up, right? It's positive and encouraging. Hopefully not too loud, so you can get to know yourself a little bit better. In that quiet time, you can meditate while you listen to the music, you can journal, talk about your day, talk about your feelings. And the best part about journaling or video journaling in the privacy of your own home or in the privacy of your own room is that you can play that back later and you can say whatever you want, right? You don't have to worry about someone else overhearing you, because you're doing this in private to get to know you. And through that, hopefully you can get to fall in love with you, so you'll be ready to get to know someone else.